So tonight is going to be a bit different than usual, and we are still going to explore the human realm. I'm sorry about the pronunciation, but yeah, I can't manage to say it better with realm. So you need to get used of my French accent. So last week, Dharma gave really an excellent presentation of the 6 different realms that you have here, realms of the wheel of life. And the karmic mental states associated with each of them. So if you missed that presentation, I really recommend you to listen to the recording on YouTube, because I think there's so much to learn and wisdom in just this Dharma teaching that's really good to kind of listen to what each realm means. And it's like, why is it important to have another evening focusing on this realm? What's it's more special about that one? It's not a question for you. It's going to come later. So, as explained by Dharma last week, so this is the realm where you can develop your spiritual potential, and you can develop also as human beings. And yes, through this development, you have the opportunity to gain enlightenment. So that's something really precious. And you can develop self-awareness, which is also needed when you kind of look and work on your tendencies and want to change them, because they are limiting us in fulfilling our potential. And we can address our karmic poisons and also discover our qualities, inner qualities, and also sometimes qualities we were not even aware of. And this is all coming because there's also the support of a community, so the Sangha. So it's, again, as Dharma mentioned last week, it's really a precious opportunity to make something different of our life, more meaningful, more fulfilling, so we can become more our true self and unlock, new areas, new potential in us. So we are going to illustrate tonight, by interviewing 3 people who went to the New Year's retreat, so between the Christmas and the New Year last year, just to kind of explore what does it bring to be, in these kind of special conditions. So it was a retreat of 5 days, and I don't think we knew each other before the retreat. So it's been kind of a journey we went through all together. But it would be good to hear because our experience of this retreat can be at the same time similar but also quite different. So I'm going to ask questions. So we have Timothy, Leigh, and Jules. And I'm going to kind of ask questions so they can share their experience, what they have learned from this retreat and the impact it has had in their life. So let's start with the questions. If I can find them. So I think one thing is also quite interesting to know is when you decide to go on the retreat, what are the reasons to make you decide, okay, now I'm going to try it. what has been the motivation behind that? I don't know if any one of you wants to start, and after we can see if there's something common between the three of you, and also something different. Jules, you want to start?
I just thought it was a really good way to kind of end the year, and then to, I guess, celebrate like 2024, and in a way celebrate 2025, starting in just a kind of new beginning. So that was my simple reason.
Okay.
Well, it was a meditation retreat, of course.
Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm.
And I live with Arta Siddhi, who I know's a really strong meditating, kind of good meditation teacher. So that was really, really good. But like Jules said as well, kind of having the end of the year as a time to have that kind of focus was really good, especially after being actually with the family over Christmas time and kind of doing all of that stuff. So a chance to find space from that was great.
Mm-hmm. So something in common as well and different.
So I'd done one of the non-residential retreats at a weekend here, and I really enjoyed that. So I thought, well, it'd be silly not to sign up for that, because it seemed like a good way to sort of practice a little bit more.
Okay, that's good. And did you feel that, because sometimes we decide, I'm going to go to this retreat, and you get closer to the retreat, it's like, oh no, why did I decide to do this? And on the way to the retreat as well, feeling, I'm not sure it's the right thing to do. There's kind of some anxiety or even sometimes some fears. Well, I have had this experience. So did you have a bit of that when, going to the retreat? And also, if you had something like, this kind of experience, what made you, stay with the decision to go there? You want to go in the same order? It doesn't matter.
As time got closer, I had my in-laws staying for Christmas. And Sheila, my mother-in-law, has Alzheimer's, and she hadn't wanted to come and visit us, and then she didn't want to leave. And Sandra, my partner, was like, you can't tell her you're going on retreat, because then she will stay. And I was like, but that would be nice if she stayed. And maybe I could stay, because I was starting to get really a bit scared of going. But yeah, when I got dropped off, I was like, you are going. But yeah, I think it's probably normal to get a bit apprehensive.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a strange venue. Well, it was a strange venue to me, because I'd been to a non-residential here, I'd been to a retreat centre in Suffolk, so it just seemed a bit different.
It was different,
yes.
I wasn't too anxious this time, but I remember like some of my first retreats going on. There was some anxiety there, kind of what's it going to be like, having no phone and stuff, and the meditation and waking up kind of so early and all that. So a lot of the kind of that was there. And you're certainly kind of met with a different kind of version of yourself or something like that, which can be, really, really challenging. But I remember kind of noticing that kind of thing that I wanted to happen. Well, not wanted to happen, but I thought could happen, did happen, which is after kind of 2 or 3 days, my awareness of consciousness somehow kind of went to a slightly kind of different place, almost like I dropped down to kind of somewhere, which felt really kind of spaciousness and beyond the kind of thinking mind, which I live with, obviously is much more intensified when there's so much input and stimulus, but to have that kind of removed and to realise there's other realms to go to was, really kind of life-changing. And the resistance I kind of felt towards going, and the first day or two of kind of being there, quickly kind of fell away, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And actually kind of not wanting to go back into the world of, stimuli after a few days,
You already answered some of the questions coming later. That's why we go back to it. Yeah. Thank you. Leigh.
I was very much looking forward to it until I sort of got off the bus in Newmarket, and then I was like, what on earth am I doing? And as I walked there, I was just thinking, this could be a disaster. But as soon as I arrived, I think it was okay.
It was fine.
It was very, friendly faces. I think you smiled at me. So it was, you got a nice face. So, and people were nice. And, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I always like, listening, how different we can be, and also, as I said, at the same time, similar experiences. I think also, so we are kind of reaching the beginning of the retreat, and often, it's good to also to reflect on the first kind of moments we are arriving at the retreat, and how we feel and how we perceive, our environments and others. What was there. And just after, how quick, if you can also say something about, has it changed quite quickly, or it took a bit of time? So how was kind of that phase of transition? Leigh, you were talking, you arrived at the retreat after spending Christmas time with your family, so it's kind of a really big change of mode. So you were also with family, so how was it for you when, moving from that kind of context to a retreat context, and your first impressions arriving there, and how that's changed with with time?
I don't know if it was because we were quite a small number of people compared to other retreats I've been to. But quite often, they'll have an icebreaker and everybody goes around and introduces themselves. And that's my biggest nightmare. Because, like Timothy saying, oh, what have I done coming here? And I was like, oh, they're all going to be dead young, and they're going to be all dead trendy and all dead sorted. And, and we're going to have these terrible icebreakers that just, make me incredibly anxious. And we didn't have them. And I was like, oh, relief. And actually, we didn't need them. Somehow or other, you got to know people, and people introduced themselves. And I don't know if it was because we were such a small number. It just felt very at home very quickly, surprisingly quickly.
Yeah, that was my impression as well. Because I forgot to say, but I was part of the retreat as well. So we were all together. So
I mean, like you were saying, around Christmas time, with the food, I certainly noticed that, and this is everyday life as well, it's easily done, isn't it, that I kind of run for the food, whatever it is, or the phone, or the TV. So, at Christmas time, being with friends and family, and doing lots of that, eating too much, feeling slightly disorientated on the first kind of day or two on retreat. That being quite jarring maybe for the first day, but and then realising there's very little to do. Just follow the programme, engage in the practices, and then sit around. You just kind of be present with other people. And that's really nice about the place, the Dharma Centre, isn't it? You've got all the kind of chairs there, but all the 18, 20 people on retreat can just sit a lot of the time. And with the periods of silence as well, there's a way of kind of connecting with the others, isn't there? I'm answering too many questions again, aren't I? But there's a way of connecting, which is so different, than when you're sat there on Christmas Day, the food's going in, only fools and horses, maybe a beer on the go. And suddenly you're kind of, not me obviously, but...
not on a retreat, no.
No, not on a retreat. But then suddenly you're all sat around and connecting through something else. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Okay, thank you.
I guess I said I relaxed when I first got there. And I did. I no longer had this feeling, it's like, what on earth have you done? But I was still a little bit nervous about the transition from, as you say, almost a very sort of hedonic Christmas period into something a little bit more laid back. But I do remember the first morning sitting down for the meditation and Arthur City starting, and it was just, this is great. Yeah, just sat there with a smile on my face.
And how was it? Also, kind of looking at how you kind of were practicing in your daily life, whatever you could do, and being in a very specific conditions, supportive conditions in a retreat. What did you notice as, kind of big changes for you in what supported you in your practice? What were the differences for you that you could really notice between the two different conditions?
I don't always get to the Buddhist Centre to meditate in person, so it's often online. So it was just incredibly powerful being with other people meditating, and even I think in our day-to-day life we're always thinking about what you're going to do next. We very rarely sit silently or doing nothing in day-to-day life, and actually our period of silence extended, and that just actually seemed really natural. I was a wee bit sad actually when it finished. We did extend it, but it's very hard to put into words. It just seemed appropriate, and just it was just part of getting deeper, I guess, into the meditation. That actually other times we were silent. There wasn't actually need for conversation. You were still bizarrely getting to know people, even though you weren't talking to them. And maybe in some way we got closer to them on a deeper level because we weren't talking.
That's true.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think having the lead meditations was really powerful, wasn't it? I meditate next to Arthur City, as I was saying, in the community. He sat there, and he's a very deep practitioner. But to have him just guide in that way the metta bhavana, and just to kind of push gently, really gently. I remember him talking about poetry at one point. I think it was like day 3 or 4, and he said the only thing that makes sense now is poetry. You can't really explain with the conceptual mind, and the beautiful poems. It really hit so deep on a few days of being there, talking about whatever they're talking about. Who knows? But I said to Archie afterwards, I said, they're some of the deepest meditations I've had all year. I suppose with the busy life, you wake up and you sit, okay, but something does happen when you're away for a few days like that, and with the silence. I remember he was saying actually that sometimes in meditation you sat there and everything can completely change just in a moment. You're kind of like. And I noticed that you're kind of stuck on this thought, this energy patch, there's things happening. And the next sit, a couple of hours later, was not there. But that was real. That was definitely true what happened, but now I can't even recall it really. So I think.
It's good to see how the changes within the retreat, or within one day from another, or even sometimes within a day. So definitely. What about you, Timothy?
So I think one of the important things for me was I deliberately didn't take any books because I live my life vicariously reading books, and I think that was a good idea because it did mean I spent a little bit more time just sitting doing nothing or going for a walk. And I think the other thing, to back up what Leigh said, I thought it was very impressive to me. Because we were talking beforehand, and there were people who did virtually no practice in their normal life, and some people who had been practicing for a very long time, and people like me sort of somewhere in the middle. And it was really noticeable how Arthur City did sort of gather us all up, bring us together, and you could tell we were landing in the same place. So by the time, towards the end of the fourth day, you really could tell people were sort of, they were together. They hadn't started together, but they were. I found that both surprising and interesting.
Yeah.
I think also I naively went there thinking I knew how to meditate, and it kind of blew my brains. I gave you the analogy of like skiing. You think you're skiing, and I remember I'd been skiing probably 30 years, and I went skiing one day with a friend who'd been an instructor, and they kind of brought me back to being like one of these little they took my poles off me and said, right, you're going to ski like you're 5 again. Not that I even let me ski when I was 5, and it completely changed the experience of skiing, and it wasn't as tiring, and it was more enjoyable, and it was the exact same with the meditation. I naively thought I knew how to meditate, and it was even just like from one talk to the next talk, it just completely stripped down my meditation quite scarily at times, and then it just got deeper and deeper, and it wasn't even as if I'd fallen asleep, because when you fall asleep, but I just was somewhere else, and it was just very deep. So much so sometimes, because we would often have a meditation and then do a walking meditation, and like one day I was just like, actually I need a wee break here. So
I like the analogy with the skiing. Yeah, it's a good one. Thank you. It's kind of, it gives really a sense of, you at that stage, you're going really deeper into, your experience of the retreat, and some things were kind of emerging. So talking about that, did you have the impression that during the retreat, you kind of reached a point where there was kind of a sense of a breakthrough, like really something quite strong emerging? And it could be, something on both ways. Sometimes it could be something that's really feeling this sense of freedom, but it could be also sometimes we face some challenges, which also will kind of take us to that path of freedom. So just wanted to see how, reaching that point of being more into the retreat, what if there's something like this that happened to one of you, or all 3 of you?
It's amazing how much the silence helps with that. I often say before retreat now, I hope I'll get deep or something like that. And then, interestingly, after a few days or whenever it is, it's almost like there's a sense of, wow, there's that expansiveness again, whatever that is. By facing the spaciousness of something, then that is created, isn't it? And I mean, how do you describe that? It is like you say there, Isabelle. It's like, in that you do kind of, by allowing whatever that is, and to kind of see more of whatever awareness is, difficult things come up. Of course they do. I know Jules had some challenges, and as did I. But somehow they're kind of reframed in a different way, because they don't somehow exist in the mind. You don't kind of think about them in the same way. You can kind of like somehow look at them from a slightly changed angle, where you stepped up a tiny bit and looking down, through something else's kind of viewpoint. So the problems that you have are kind of framed differently, and then you can kind of come back to your everyday life, okay, and they're still there maybe, but slightly different somehow, got a different quality to them, So yeah.
Thank you. Any Timothy or Jules?
My big sort of takeaway was like just struggle with the meta bhavana a bit, and I kind of got over that quite a lot with some of the experiences that I was having while meditating, but also some of the things that Arthur Siddhi suggested really changed that, and my metta bhavana is now completely different to what it was before that retreat, which I've found very useful and positive.
Thank you. What about you, Jules?
Well, a bit like, breaking down the meditation and really sort of becoming a beginner again. It was just, or I would still say I was probably a beginner, or I perceived myself as kind of intermediate, whatever. But I think it's annoying he's not here, because although I'd asked him, could he remember what his first talk was, and he couldn't remember either, and he'd lost his notes and whatever. So I think the opening was so that you would be able to gain as much from the meditation, and the experience was to be very, very open. And whatever he said the first session, I actually just wanted to go home. It was, some of it was actually quite painful. There's been lots of issues with my son, and it was actually very painful kind of visiting that. And I was all set, not even to stay for lunch, just pack my bag and run away. And then we came back for lunch, and whatever he said on that occasion, again, it just, again, all the realms are very new to me, but in a way, I guess on reflection now, I feel I was in a bit of a hell. And it was, I don't know, later on, it was just as if each session was like bricks, and it built one to the next, and it just really put me at peace. One of our Mitra sessions a couple of weeks ago was going on about, enlightening, and, that, I guess, my perception is it's something like, you end up like the Holy Mary and you've got a wee halo around you. But maybe actually because that session I really did go to the depths of myself and was very open, that actually I got a lot of comfort. I did feel a wee bit enlightened, or just a glimpse of it in a way, because a lot of my pain and suffering just went away. I'm not saying I've not had pain and suffering since, but it really was a very, very deep experience, and it's really hard to articulate it. But I didn't pack my bag, and then I was worried you would send me home because I had such a terrible cold. But it was very intense retreat. Not to put people off.
No. I think for me, because we shared a room, and also we talked. I felt really, I witnessed, the time when you were struggling, but also it's just so moving from the outside as well. Just to see someone who kind of is touching something. As you said, sometimes it's difficult to articulate, but it's just making that big change, from wanting to go home to really enjoying the rest of the retreat, and seeing a different side of you, just being more yourself and open. And that's really for me, that was really, really moving to see that. I wanted to say that. Just need the feeling, still, the feeling is there. What, in terms of, we talked about the conditions, that kind of have supported you, about having quite a lot of silence during the retreat. Obviously, you are isolated from your kind of normal life. Are there other conditions you feel that have been really supportive for you during the retreat? I'm kind of thinking also, the fact we live in a small group community, but maybe other things as well.
We had an amazing chef. Oh my wow!
Yeah.
Michelin-star quality food. That definitely helps.
I was going to say very similar, but for me, one of the big things, because I do the cooking at home, not having to decide what we're going to eat, and then having this guy cook for us.
Thank you,
It's
Ryan.
fabulous.
Yeah, it's very important in a retreat, definitely. Yes. And it's not just also because of the cooking, it's the connection you have, because it's really part of that to create a connection with between people in the retreat.
And it was a beautiful setting, actually. I mean, we were literally probably 10-minute walk from a friend of mine in Newmarket, but we were just in a tiny little wooden building surrounded by forest, and then just more farmland and camping sites where the wee guides would camp, and I guess in summer. And it was just a very, very special place, so that, at times, well, before it became silent, you could go off and have a walk, either by yourself or with other people, and then, yes, and people went walking in silence too, so I think that was very special. And even also having time to just check in with some of the leaders and go, this is blowing my brains, guys.
Yeah, and I like also having a fireplace. It's always something, that's kind of getting people together, and it's really nice. So moving now, we are kind of coming at the end of the retreat. How was it to have, that transition? The first moment you left, that retreat and arrived home, how was it for you?
It was good. No, I was very lucky, actually, because Malika gave me a lift home. We lived in the same village at the time, so it was like the retreat was coming home with both of us. We just chatted all the way home, I think. And yeah, it was lovely to be home. I think I felt a wee bit guilty because Sandra's busy. New Year celebrations didn't quite happen. But yeah, and I think a bit of me kind of wanted to keep the silence to a degree. It was a bit. I mean, I've been on retreat before and come home, but you can't keep replicating the same conditions. But actually, it kind of just made you slow down and really appreciate home and lots in your family and lots of other things, and you didn't have to race round and rush about or find things to stimulate. It was okay to be just still.
Good answer, Jules. I mean, it's interesting when you see the first main road after retreat and the cars kind of whizzing by. It's really jarring. After this retreat, I had probably a week, maybe a week and a half, where I kind of felt there was kind of a sense of something kind of slowed down, and I noticed actually after day something like 8 or 9 getting back, when there was a car horn, because I just work with the car horn that gone off outside and someone shouting, and I got angry straight in the response. I was like, why are they shouting for? And that's the first time, I think it's 8 or 9 days, where I kind of, before that, it had happened, of course, I responded with an open heart in some way. I'd go, they're having a difficult time. So, you try and hold on to that as long as you can do before you kind of get pulled back into something. But,
Thank you.
It's my girlfriend is now very keen for me to go on more retreats. Apparently, not only was I away for 5 days, but I came back a bit more considerate. Yeah. Apparently, she noticed. She genuinely, and she wouldn't be shy about saying that. So I mean, it kind of works.
That's really good. So it was good, Leigh. Also, you mentioned that, we noticed the changes, but they kind of slowly kind of disappear. Have you kind of, do you still have a sense it has changed something more, long-lasting change for you? And what is it there?
I didn't think I was obsessed with my phone before I went away. I genuinely didn't think I was, but I definitely haven't on my phone as much.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I deleted, Facebook and these apps and things. I have to say, since somebody bashed me with her in the van and I was sort of resting after a wee accident, I did. It's very easy to go down the slippery slope of hell of Facebook. But up till then, yeah, I've been clean of Facebook. And yeah,
How do you feel about it?
absolutely fine.
Okay.
And the same, like, I think when I initially went home, I didn't really want to watch any TV at all. Again, I watch crap TV at times, or TV that you can take your brain out to. Although someone was saying, Hannah was saying, the Swedish lady that came to say to the study day. The Swedish lady, she, I think she said at the under 30 day, she was actually explaining some modern TV is okay, and it actually shows you how people are, negotiating and living together and that. So yeah, I think some things have changed
That's good.
for the better.
Yeah, good to hear. Yeah. Your view?
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it. I meditate more now. After that, I think part of it was a desire to keep up the momentum, but I don't think it was just that. I'm not sure, but something has changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, conditions are so really important, aren't they? It seems. Remember, like Celia saying on another retreat a couple of months ago that you forget in no time. So when you kind of come back, as you leave the retreat, you think, I must do this again, I will do this again. And then after 3 weeks, think, maybe I've done a few, so to kind of setting those conditions up is really important. And I've kind of done that as time's gone on. Things like with the phone, Jules is saying, and all that. And it helps with finding high levels of peace,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Kind of slowly making changes and seeing the positive effects it has on your life, and so you keep slowly, progressing in that direction.
I think it's I'm one of 4 siblings, so I think, and like my parents are now in their 90s, and I think we're usually on the same track about how to help them and support them. But I know in the past I'm the youngest, so my big sister sometimes will try and take charge and still treats me as if I'm 10, and then that would really, really, and it still does actually. I wish I was so good that it wouldn't annoy me. But I think a lot of times I guess I've changed in that when she wants to get into an argument, I just try and, we're actually doing this for mum and dad, and it's it's not a competition, and try and work it around that way. But it's still difficult when somebody's attacking you. I guess I'm maybe thinking about it from her perspective, or like, I guess I've not polished her ego as much, and but I equally am aware that, I'm sure at times I want my ego polished as well, so I'm no saint. But it maybe does make you see people in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, thank you. So I think that was really good to hear about, your experience within that specific conditions. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I hope, that's it's going really to inspire people to kind of, go on a retreat, because, it's a very precious time to kind of be in contact with our, as I said at the beginning, inner qualities and potential, and really kind of sometimes without understanding what is going on, really kind of seeing that there's something different after the retreat, and it has an impact in your life, after that. So thank you very much, all of the 3 of you.